I'd like to call to order tonight's Board of Trustees of the Batavia Public Library District meeting for January 20th. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, roll call, please.
McGuire Hoppick.
Here.
Blodgett.
Here.
Deichmann.
Here.
Von Moonen.
Here.
Jakubowski.
Here.
Sullivan.
Here.
Schuster here.
Okay, we have a quorum. Okay, item 4 is comments from the audience. Any member wishing to speak this evening? Okay. Moving on to...
Wait.
Oh, sorry.
George, did you have me listed as separate or just...
I knew you were going to be here. This is the right time.
Okay.
Thanks for
well, thank you. I'm here just for a minute to talk about the Batavia Public Schools Hall of Honor, and I hope that everybody has heard about that. This is a new way of recognizing outstanding individuals who have been associated with Batavia Public Schools. And there will be 3 categories for recognition. One is Batavia alumni who have graduated at least 15 years ago, who would be recognized for either personal achievement or service to the community, state, or country. A second category is a staff member who has made an outstanding contribution to the school district, who has worked a minimum of 10 years for the school district. And then the third category is open to everybody in the community, and that will be for a friend of Batavia Public Schools, someone who's made a contribution in a special way. During the first year of the Hall of Honor, 10 alumni will be recognized, up to 10 alumni, up to 2 staff members, and up to 2 friends. In subsequent years, it would be a maximum of 6 alumni, 1 staff member, and 1 friend of the Batavia Public Schools. The first inductees will be recognized at Homecoming 2015, so in the fall of this year. And that ceremony is going to be in the Batavia Fine Arts Center. There will be a physical Hall of Honor that will be created in the main hall at Batavia High School, and there will be a virtual Hall of Honor that will be on the website. So right now, I'm sure you're thinking about all those great nominees, people you know who have given service to the community, a scholar, an athlete, an accomplished musician, an artist, somebody who attends every school event. How do you nominate that person? The process is very easy. You can do it either in print or online. If you wanted to do a hard copy, you could call Batavia Public Schools for a copy of the application. Even easier is to fill it out online. On the Batavia Public Schools website is a section for the Hall of Honor, and there's 10 simple questions that you answer. The name of the nominee, the date of their graduation, if applicable, and then opportunities to give evidence and an overview and even other references if you have that. It's really only 10 questions long, so it's not a long application at all. Nominations are due February 1st, so it's just 12 days away. There's still time to highlight that outstanding individual associated with Batavia Public Schools. Visit the Hall of Honor section on the Batavia Public School website and recognize those important people. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. That's a neat idea. Okay, item 5 is our consent agenda for this evening, which consists of minutes from the public hearing of November 18th, minutes from the regular meeting of November 18th, expenditures for November and December 2014, action items, our abatement of the tax levy for 2014, purchase of chairs for our conference room, and the securing of audit services. Would any trustee like to remove any of these items for a separate vote? Okay, seeing none, do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I so move.
Okay. And second, okay, roll call, please.
Oh, sure. McGuire, Popick,
Aye.
Blodgett,
Aye.
Dietrich,
Aye.
Von Lunen,
Aye.
Jakubowski,
Aye.
Sullivan,
Aye.
Schuster, aye.
Okay, consent agenda is approved. Item 6 is approving tonight's regular agenda. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Okay, moved by
Second.
Jakubowski and second by McGuire Popick. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, our agenda is approved. Okay, and item 7 is a special item for this evening, and I will turn this one over to Maureen to introduce this topic.
Okay, it is my honor to announce a resolution recognizing and honoring Susan S. Russo as a library leader. And Susan, if you would come up, please. Okay. I know you're going to be on the spot.
And
Why don't you have a seat?
Find that one.
Oh, okay.
Welcome, Susan. Thank you for
Thank
being
you
here this evening. If I
very
can
much.
find the,
Certification.
is it in here? Okay, I'll read this one. Good. Okay, so we have a resolution here, which I'll read for the record, and then we'll call for a motion. Whereas Susan S. Russo is a longtime friend and passionate supporter of the Batavia Public Library, the Friends of the Batavia Public Library, and the Batavia Public Library Foundation. And whereas Susan was elected to the Board of Library Trustees and served as a library trustee for 6 years from 1997 through 2003. Whereas Susan served the board as vice president from May 97 through May of 99, during which time a referendum to construct a new building was approved by the voters in November of 1998. The ideal site at the entry to downtown Batavia was acquired and an extraordinary new facility was designed. And whereas Susan served the board as president from 1999 to 2003 and led the library through a critical and often tumultuous epoch in its history, during which time a new building at 10 South Batavia Avenue was completed, and Susan presided at its dedication in January 2002. And whereas Susan took on the challenge of increasing the community's financial support of the library, culminating in a successful referendum to increase the annual library property tax rate from 0.15% to 0.25% in March 2002. And whereas in 1999, during the building project, Susan worked to create the Batavia Public Library Development Fund and established for its oversight an advisory committee on which the community at large was represented. And whereas Susan was later appointed as a member at large of that advisory committee in November 2005 and was actively involved in the process of transforming it from a subsidiary body of the board to the Batavia Public Library Foundation, an Illinois not-for-profit corporation, in February 2007, which she served as a founding director and vice president through November of 2009. And whereas Susan has demonstrated community-based visionary thinking beyond the library in many ways, including as a past president of the League of Women Voters of Central Kane County and a professional advisor to the Community Foundation of the Fox River Valley. And whereas Susan continues to support the library through volunteerism and work on behalf of the Friends of the Batavia Public Library, and whereas Susan, through a clear vision of the future, true leadership, and a stalwart commitment to success, helped change the library for the better, positioned it as the heart and centerpiece of the Batavia community, and inspired new levels of library service that will serve Batavia in good stead for decades to come. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Library Trustees of the Batavia Public Library District as follows. Susan S. Russo is hereby named a library leader, and in recognition whereof, the name of Susan S. Russo shall be inscribed in the Book of Library Leaders, which is displayed at the entrance to the Library Leaders Reading Room. So quite a stellar list of accomplishments, and thank you. For your service to this organization. So can I hear a motion on this resolution?
I move that we accept the resolution.
Okay.
as presented.
I second it.
Moved by Von Lunen and second by Blodgett. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, congratulations.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you
And
again.
that's for you.
All right, thank you so much. It's a great honor.
So deserved.
Congratulations.
One other side note about Susan, she was on the committee that selected me to be the director. So you can blame her.
Oh, no. No, that's all worked out well, too.
Yes.
Good. Well, thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you so much.
Okay. It's nice to have those types of positive agenda items every so often. Item 8 is financial reports from November and December of 2014. Joy, welcome. Anything in
I don't
particular to
really have
report?
anything to discuss unless you guys have questions.
Questions for Joy? Okay. All right.
It's all good.
Thank you very much. Okay. Okay, item 9 is our president's report, and I believe there is a different president who's also delivering a report this evening, so to make sure we can all hear that one as well, I'll be very brief tonight. First, I want to make sure that everyone's aware of and congratulate our trustee Tom Von Lunen as being nominated and selected, I guess, as Batavia's Citizen of the Year for 2014, so congratulations. That's quite an honor, and I'm sure much deserved. So
Thank you.
so thank you for all that you do here and with your other organizations here in Batavia. And I'd also like to point out that the monthly magazine in December for the Illinois Library Association had an image of a piece of art that is housed here at the Batavia Public Library on its cover. So out of all the wonderful things that libraries throughout the state of Illinois are doing, it's nice that our state association recognized something that we've tried to contribute to our community here. So that was pretty cool to see. Okay, that's all for my report tonight. Item 10 is good news or comments from the board. Any trustee have anything to report tonight? Okay. Moving on to item 11 is correspondence and communications. We had, I guess, just one item in our packet
Yes,
from Secretary of State.
we were, it's a letter from the Secretary awarding the 2015 per capita grant in the amount of $33,202.50. So it was fully funded at $1.25 per resident. We're very happy to receive notice of that.
Okay, questions for George on that issue? Okay. Item 12 is directors and librarians reports. George?
Thank you, Doug. The written report is in the packet. In terms of highlights, I want to remind everyone, and I think many of the board members are planning to attend this already, but the annual event of the Batavia Chamber of Commerce, which they now call the Inspire Awards, will be taking place on Friday, June. I'm leaping way ahead into warm weather. Friday, January 30th at 6 o'clock at the Homestead. And of course, that's the evening that Tom will officially be recognized as Citizen of the Year. So if you haven't turned in your reservation for that, just contact the business office and we'll take care of that for you. And the other, I think, important announcements in here are we have two new Lyceum lecture series, and I won't steal too much of Stacy's thunder on this because I know she'll talk about these, but we have on January 26th and on February 9th, we have two really exciting new programs. Do you want to say anything at this point, Stacy, about them?
Yeah, looking at the details on Monday, January 26th, which is coming right up, 7 o'clock. Michael Dixon will present Tales from Ukraine. He'll be talking about his works for the Peace Corps in Ukraine, giving some preservation efforts of some cultural institutions. And on Monday, February 9th at 7 o'clock, we have a presentation as part of our One Book One Batavia series called The Camera and Abraham Lincoln. And our professor named Mark Pollard is going to be talking about camera images, photographs of Abraham Lincoln, as well as photography in the larger sense in the mid-1800s. So we're looking forward to those two events.
Thank you. Otherwise, at this point, unless there are any questions for me, I'll be happy to turn over to Joanne and Stacy.
Okay, questions for George? Okay, Joanne, welcome.
Hello, thank you. Well, I will be brief because what I'm talking about is Polar Palooza, Winter Library Club. We're doing a lap game with them. So in an effort to make sure that families with very young children, toddlers, and infants really feel included in the program, we've added some baby components to it as well. We've also this year, we're starting something new, and during these 6 weeks of Winter Library Club, we're having observation stations. And it's our reach out into STEM, again, for science and technology type events. And right now, if you come downstairs, we have borrowed a unit from Red Oak Nature Center, and we have several skulls, animal skulls, and several animal pelts. And we have some probing questions that children can think about while they're looking at the pelts and the skulls, and next week we'll change to 4 different animals. So this has been a very interesting observation. Families have really enjoyed it so far. So next week we have 4 different animals that they can take a look at. And then we'll have 2 weeks where we'll be testing magnets and doing different things with what things attract to a magnet and what don't. And then we'll also be looking at how different things absorb color, and we'll be changing the colors of flowers and celery stalks. So we're trying to do some different observation stations. Those are things that families can come into the library and do, as well as our regular Winter Library Club. But I would be remiss if I didn't also do a little PR for this Saturday is Lego and Model Train Saturday. Our Lego friend, Jeff Vines, is coming again, but he has said that he's bringing several new displays, additions to his Lego display. So he has half of the room, and the other half is a model railroading group who is bringing model railroads, and we'll have several layouts, including some that children can run. So that will be this Saturday in the Founders Room from 10 a.m. till 4 p.m. All ages are welcome, whether you're a young enthusiast or a not so young enthusiast. You're welcome to come. So that's all I have.
Okay. Questions for Joanne? Okay, thank you. Stacy, welcome.
Thank you. Things have been hopping in adult services, and I'm going to highlight just 3 items from my report this month. The first is a brand new service that we launched very recently and began promoting only in January. We've already had 14 responses from patrons, which are keeping us quite busy. It's a service called Your Next Read, which allows people with Batavia Public Library cards to fill out a form online in which we ask a bunch of questions about their reading preferences. And based on the responses that they give us, librarians come together and we have teams who specialize in different genres, and we will send that patron a customized reading list of suggested books.
So if you all are thinking of doing that, don't all do it tonight. This happened recently. We got 4 in one day. So stagger alphabetically. But we've had 14 responses already from patrons, so about 1 per day in January. And it's keeping us nice and busy, and we're doing a lot of readers advisory through this new service. So pretty exciting. Another new feature for those who are doing genealogical and family history research is that the library is now a Family Search affiliate library. This is an initiative that librarian Roseanne Freund brought to our attention, and she spearheaded this project. And what this means is that people doing family history research who wish to bring in, to borrow microfilm from the Family History Library in Salt Lake City. It's a $7.50 charge per microfilm reel. Typically, those would have to go to a family history center, which have relatively limited hours, and people would have to travel either to Naperville or Elgin. Now they're able to request and have the microfilm shipped right here, and we are the place that receives the microfilm. They can come in and use our equipment to view and make printouts and email images from that microfilm. So it's a wonderful service for those who are doing that type of research.
A good use of our relatively new digital reader printer.
Yeah. And finally, it's One Book, One Batavia season. I'm going to send around an event schedule. Kara, can I start these with you? Thank you. We have several events scheduled. The new Lyceum lecture I mentioned, the Cameron Abraham Lincoln on February 9th. Book discussion, where we're going to be talking about the book we've selected for this year, which is Manhunt, The 12-Day Chase for Lincoln's Killer by James Swanson. That book discussion is on February 10th. So people who've read the book are invited to come to a book discussion here at the library. On Sunday, March 8th at 2 o'clock, we have a presentation called The Ghost of Mary Surratt. She was one of the conspirators in the assassination of Lincoln. And finally, our grand finale is going to be a visit by the author of Manhunt, James Swanson, who will be here in Batavia Wednesday, March 11th at 7 o'clock. And I'd like to especially thank our partners and co-sponsors in this event. The Friends of the Batavia Public Library are the sponsor of, along with the library, of One Book, One Batavia, and provided funding. And we're working with Batavia Public Schools because that author presentation will take place at the Batavia Fine Arts Center in the high school. So we'll have ample seating for the crowd that we expect for that event. All of these events are free of charge. We're just asking for people to register, which they can do online on the library website, by calling the library, or in person at the reference desk. Any questions? All right. All right, thanks.
Nice, thank you, Stacey. Okay. All right, on to committee reports. 13A is the Facilities Committee. Andrew, anything to report there?
We had a couple topics we discussed. One was the chairs, which were on the consent agenda. We have to thank the Friends for coming up with some money for that.
Yes.
For replacing the chairs in this conference room that are getting kind of dated and quite beat up, and a couple had to be retired. The other item we discussed was the site work repairs, or the site work that we need to have done, and that's item 16 on our agenda, so I can wait and discuss it then.
Okay. All right, 13B is Finance Committee. Tom, anything to report there?
We covered the referendum on the abatement, 2014 abatement, and we also discussed the expenses involved with our number 16 with the facilities.
Okay. Okay. Questions for Tom? All right. 13C is the Outreach Committee.
And that was where we confirmed the resolution to recognize Susan.
Okay. All right. And then 13D is the Services Committee. I was absent for that meeting, but I know we did discuss and recommend, or my fellow committee members discussed and recommended what will be item 15 on tonight's agenda. So, we can go over that then. And I don't think there was anything else from the committee. Right. Okay. And then 13E is the Library Foundation. Kara?
Let's see, we have a new foundation board member, Brian Wood, which we welcomed him with open arms. And there's a lot of discussion about the fire insurance maps, the conservation of the 1907 wall maps.
Okay.
Marla Kentop, she's going to chair that committee and how to fund that. So we're very thankful that she has a whole agenda for us and how we're going to pursue that process of
Okay.
getting, what was it, $24,000, something like that. Yeah. And let's see, the stay-at-home read a book direct mail campaign is going pretty well. So we made some money off of that. That was good.
So far, $5,500.
Yes. So we're moving in the right direction.
Okay. All right, questions for Kara? All right. Let's see. 13F we'll skip. And then
Can I just make a
oh.
comment about that?
Yes, please.
We did not, the Friends of the Library did not meet in December, in November or December, but prior to that, they had talked about redoing a brochure, a pamphlet. And those of you who are members of the Friends should have received that revised pamphlet in the mail, and it was really quite nice, and they had added some color to it because they thought it kind of looked kind of blah. So
Okay.
they're looking for ways to try to get renewals from past members. They decided to send it out to people who had maybe not responded in a while, in addition to the people who were most recently members. So I just wanted to bring that up because we haven't had a meeting along with a board meeting to report on for a while.
Got it. Okay. All right. Thank you for bringing that up. Any questions on the Friends? All right. 13G is Link. George, anything to report?
This month's meeting actually got bumped from before the library board meeting to after the library board meeting, so nothing in January. However, we have been working on the budget for the new fiscal year, which starts May 1st for Link. So that will be acted upon at the next meeting and come to this board in February. So that's the next thing.
Okay. All right. And then 13H is BATV. Kara?
We're continuing to work on a new mission statement. Let's see, the marketing committee, we're going to be rolling out a new plan for that. We'll be seeing some interesting things going on with that. New programming, there's going to be kind of a documentary kind of program that's going to focus on following a local artist around and have their creative process. So that should be something interesting that added to the programs for BATV.
Okay.
There's actually another thing that they may not have reported on yet at the BATV board meetings, but there's a project that Stacy has been involved with.
Oh, yeah.
Do you want to talk about that?
No, go ahead, because I just learned
Stacy,
about
want to give
that.
like a sentence or two about the Books and Advice
historical-
project?
yeah.
you're working on? Maybe come up so that they can see you on TV, which many people watch.
Carrie Halter and I have actually been working on this project. We have an adult volunteer who's working on a project going back through the BATV archives and making duplicate copies for the library's collection of the Books Between Bites DVDs that have been made over the years. So the folks at BATV have been wonderful collaborators in this project, and they said that with the help of volunteers that we could have those for free. So it's a very generous on the part of BATV and also on the part of the local volunteer who's doing the labor for us. So we're
In fact,
looking.
it's related to a staff member, I think. Right?
Yes. So we've got that project underway, and Carrie is cataloging them as they're finished, and we'll be adding them to the library collection.
Okay. Thank you, Stacy. All right. Anything else on BATV?
Well, I did mention to them about kind of documenting if we do go about doing with the maps.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's all.
Okay. Okay, item 14 is future agenda items. You have a report in your packet. George, did you want to say anything in particular about this?
Oh, the two main items for next month are the Link budget and the new technology plan, which will be coming. The Link budget, I think, will come directly to the board, but the technology plan will go through the facilities committee.
Okay. All right, and then item 15 is a policy on smoking and tobacco use. So I'll take the credit or blame for raising this idea with George and the staff, based on one or two suggestions that I had heard from our constituents about this issue. I thought it was a positive step that we could take, so I asked George to look into it, and I think that he put together the proposed policy that we have before us. So for those who attended the services committee, do you want to say anything about the discussion or what led us to our ordinance this evening?
Well, the policy will be that the entire campus will be smoke-free. That means you can't smoke anything, and no chewing tobacco. All tobacco and smoking will be prohibited on the whole entire campus. And that means even people in their cars, the whole entire campus. And that begins March 1st, is that correct? So there'll be...
If approved by the board.
So there'll be signs that are put up, and George did a lot of research, and it seems that even University of Illinois, all kinds of places are having completely smoke-free campuses. So that's what we're going to do too, which is, in my opinion, a great idea.
Okay.
Did anybody have any questions about it? About the policy?
Well, I do have a question. Being a reformed smoker, it took me quite a few years to be able to say that. I'm just wondering if you're looking at the background information here, it mentions within 15 feet of any entrance. Will there be any pushback with regard to people smoking in their vehicles and things like that? I mean, I'm all for people quitting smoking and not smoking as much as possible, but just wondering about any potential pushback about the smoking in their own private vehicle.
Although it's on our campus.
It's on our campus, right?
That is the policy. So.
Right, in the 15 feet from the entrance is the law today, state law today, so we're already following that rule. This expands upon that rule. There's also a section in here about our philosophy on enforcing, which I noticed was something that, or it refers to the issue you bring up here.
Okay.
I think that in researching what is being done by other organizations, particularly hospitals and college campuses, by July 1st of this year, there's a law that Governor Quinn had signed into a bill that Governor Quinn signed into law called the Smoke-Free Campus Act, which requires all state-supported campuses to be smoke-free by July 1st. So that we did some research based on what campuses were doing, and the level of enforcement across the state currently ranges from very aggressive to relatively passive when it comes to things like cars. The Smoke-Free Campus Act exempts smoking in cars from the ban on college campuses, but most community colleges and hospitals include smoking in cars as part of the ban. And the Smoke-Free Illinois Act prohibits smoking in cars that are government-owned, but doesn't necessarily include private vehicles. So our approach will be not as aggressive, I think. We're not going to have, and by that I mean we're not going to have anyone patrolling the grounds looking for people smoking in their car. We recognize that if someone comes in and complains about someone smoking in the reading garden or in a vehicle, that the time lag between that report getting to a service desk and someone inside getting back to that site may lead to not finding many people
Right.
in the act. So,
Right.
so we're in the process of developing some guidelines for staff on the best way to approach such complaints and what to do about it. It's going to be a sort of a work in progress for us in terms of the experience of the experiences we may have. I think thus far we have gotten complaints about people smoking too close to the door. More often than not, it's our own staff that notice that. We basically dictated that people had to be outside the columns because as opposed to putting a stripe on the ground where 15 feet was. But we do have people now who like to smoke out of the wind, so they'll come up and sit by Mark Twain and things like that. And we've had to enforce the current state law in that sense. So we expect it to be, something of a challenge, I think, but at the same time, we'll give it our best shot.
And that was, I'm being devil's advocate here because I'm very opposed to smoking. Reformed people are the worst, in terms of that. But I was just concerned about how are we going to enforce it, and I hate to see things passed that we can't do anything about. So, but you sound like you have a plan, or you're getting a plan together, so that's good.
We expect that we will get reports of smoking that we will not be able to follow through on because of the timing of it. But I think that's just the way it works on a large campus. At the University of Illinois, there was an interesting article I found where the university police representative basically said, the signs are up, people can see the signs, and they know they're not supposed to smoke. And that was sort of their enforcement plan. Unless someone smokes right in front of a security person or a police officer,
Right.
in which case they'll be, approached. But in general, I guess they're not going to be very aggressive given the huge size of the campus and such. But I think it may be Elgin Community College, maybe that has security people who already patrol the parking lots, and I guess they've been instructed to. If someone is smoking, even in their car, they're supposed to approach them. So, you'll see different levels. And our situation is we're not going to patrol the parking lot. That's sort of, we don't have the staffing for that, even if we had the desire for it. And we'll develop some good guidelines for staff to follow and some good scripts for them to use.
Well, the other concern that I have is, what about staff people who smoke and have limited amounts of breaks? And, limited time for a break, and if they have to leave the campus to smoke, what is that going to do? I hate to think that anybody here in the library who's an educated staff person smokes, but it could happen. So anyway, that's another issue that you may have to think about.
That's something we've been discussing.
Okay.
We do have a couple, 3 people that still smoke.
But I think that's true at any business now.
Right.
I mean, so many places don't allow it. So they work around.
You have to work around it, right?
Okay. Tom, did you have a question as well?
No, I was just been asking about the enforcement.
Okay.
It's not a shoot first, ask questions later.
We're friendly.
All right.
So the first few months, we'll take an educational approach to this and ask people to stop smoking if they are, but we're not, we won't be very aggressive about the consequences of that. We don't want to alienate our patron base while we're trying to protect them, I guess.
Are you going to put any flyers together or anything in the library explaining to people that you don't want this on the campus, or?
Well, we will have signage that we'll post at the appropriate spots around the campus. And hadn't thought about a flyer, but that might be something we want to consider just to.
Maybe even on the TV screen.
We will actually have that on our.
Something the American
on
Cancer
our-
Society already has, something, who knows?
Yeah.
Even now, we haven't had questions about the current law. I think times are much different than when I
Yeah.
was growing up, and everybody pretty much smoked everywhere they wanted to. But I think the biggest, I think, pushback, as you put it, is going to be from the folks that use the library that do in fact go out and have a smoke during the day, because we do have people that spend significant hours working or studying in the library, and the closest sort of smoking zone are the public sidewalks, adjacent to the street. And on a cold day, I don't think people are going to be necessarily inclined to go do that. So we'll put a good face on it, I think.
You can hide behind a tree.
Okay. So we do need a motion on this, if anyone cares to make one.
I so move.
Okay, moved by Blodgett
Second?
and second by Jakubowski. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Item 15, the policy on smoking and tobacco use is approved. Thank you. Item 16 is the long-awaited action item to hire a vendor to do our site work component repairs. Andrew, would you like to introduce this one?
Sure. We, as you know, we did the project earlier or last year and came back with numbers that were beyond what we were expecting. So we modified the scope and rebid the project at a time when contractors weren't as busy, and we got very favorable results. The low bidder was RC Wegman Construction Company, and they were found to be a responsible and responsive bidder, meaning they have the qualifications and submitted all the required paperwork. We talked a little bit in committee about the total bid, and because we'd broken out a lot of the items so we could choose from the grocery list, so to speak, on what projects we wanted to do if it came in above budget again, and decided that we could actually afford to do most of the work as was presented by RC Wegman. We left off just a few things. One was seeding for the grass. We had a line item for using sod instead of seed, and that we felt was a large number. We'll just seed the grass. If it doesn't come in, we can have our landscaping contractor adjust anything that doesn't come in, or if we have any trouble, we can take care of that on a spot basis. I don't have the full
No,
breakdown.
the other thing was to change the ends of the railings from a rounded end like they are now to a squared off end, and
That was a $0.
it was $0 change, but the committee decided to keep the look of the
Current
campus the way it is now.
So they were able to do, and in talking with finance too, they were able to do all the components we want to do. So the items we're doing are the columns, the concrete work, the slab work, the stairs.
All the railings, all the caps, all the ornamental metal work.
We're going to do the entrance down there at the corner. Then we're going to expand that entrance as we agreed with the city.
The city agreed to waive the requirement for a second staircase on Water Street in return for us widening the top of that corner, which
and improving it. So
yeah, so well, that will, and that has railings, and the stone walls have deteriorated in certain spots, so we'll fix all of that.
to reclad those, open that up a little bit, move the light fixtures, those kind of things.
The courtyard, especially this one, the concrete has heaved and sunk quite drastically, and a lot of our stopgap measures to grind and do other things ultimately have not worked well. So most of this courtyard will be replaced. So it'll make the building look much improved, much like it was 13 years ago. If you can imagine, it was 13 years ago that the place opened.
I think the things the patrons will notice the most are the new columns. We're going to replace those with fiberglass, so those should weather better. And then the drive-through downstairs.
Well,
For
we're gonna change
the
the
book
drive-through.
return, we're going to extend those out so it's easier for people to drop those off. Did we decide on the doors? I can't remember.
And all the outswing doors will be replaced with. Well, actually, replace is the wrong word. I think the doors themselves are not bad, but the ceiling and the flashing around them needed upgrading.
Right.
So, yeah.
And that was one item we really discussed about whether we should keep in it or take it out, and because it was I think $150,000, give or take. Maybe
Um,
180.
Yeah.
Tom's got it from. So that was something we could pull out, but decided that it would be 2 to 3 years before we'd be able to get back to that, possibly, and we weren't going to get a better price than what we had now, 2 or 3 years from now. So it was something we could afford to do at this time. So that's what we are recommending, how we move forward with this.
So the total contract with R.C. Wegman is $888,352. And the total project cost will include construction phase services from building technology consultants to ensure that the work is done in a correct and a quality fashion. And probably in the fall, it will be the right time to then replace some of the shrubbery that we removed to accommodate the construction, which I know will make the city council very happy.
Right, and as part of this, we're losing our below grade gardens areas here, right? We're putting above ground planters.
Correct.
But we're not putting any.
This
planting.
contract doesn't include the plantings. We'll have to add those in the fall.
Right, and we'll do that.
It was
probably
less
with our-
expensive to do it as a separate project than to
Right.
include it in the overall.
And we have a landscape contractor, and that contract
The
comes up.
We have a landscape contractor to maintain the property, but we are working with a certified arborist to select the right materials to get back out there.
Okay.
And then is the $5,000 downtown grant improvements program, would that be?
We're going to apply that, we're
We're gonna
applying
apply for that, right?
to go against the columns. And that's the maximum we can get from the downtown improvements, yeah. So we are, in fact, that paperwork is essentially completed, and it will be going, working its way through the city process shortly. But we have to, this action tonight will trigger a lot of these kind of events.
Permit application, right? Yeah, okay. Okay, we need a motion on this item.
I so move that
Okay.
we approve
Second.
this.
Okay, second by Von Lunen. Let's do a roll call.
McGuire Popick.
Aye.
Blodgett.
Aye.
Deitchman.
Aye.
Von Lunen.
Aye.
Chakabowski.
Aye.
Sullivan.
Aye.
Schuster, aye.
Okay,
I think it's going to be a very,
yeah.
construction will actually begin in March. We expect it to take 3.5 to 4 months. Prior to March 1st, the contractor will be ordering materials, the things that need to be fabricated. So we'll have they'll be busy starting actually as soon as the contract is completed, which will be, it'll take a couple, 3 weeks to go through that process and have our attorneys review it and such. But after that, we'll meet with the contractor toward the end of February to discuss logistics, because we can't be working on the downstairs book return when the upstairs book return is not accessible, and we can't be working on the columns if we can't get people in the library through either, this staff entrance or the cafe or or somewhere on that side of the building. We have to stage certain things so that we can keep the building completely accessible or mostly accessible. The doors will have an effect on the use of the large meeting room, for example, when we replace those doors. So there'll be a few days when that room will not be accessible. So we're going to work out all those exciting details, and
Okay.
so put up all of our pardon our dust signs. But I think it's exciting because 13 years. I'm really proud of us as an organization for the commitment to be good stewards of the property and to take really significant steps to maintain the property properly, so that it'll be here for many, many years to come. So.
George, since it'll be very visible, signs of what's going on. Can we somehow, on our website, put this, what the plans are and what we're doing, so that people want to look and see what we're actually doing here instead of...
I've already been talking to Michelle about cranking up the public relations and marketing piece of this. So a lot of communication, and we want to make sure the public is well informed, and I think our website is a good way to do that. And we'll post photographs as they take place.
That's a good idea. Social media as well, probably a little progress.
Right, well, we have a very
progress
active
reports,
Facebook page now, where I think we're just about hitting 700 likes, and we also have Twitter and Pinterest, so we'll pump all of that out. So, yes, thank you.
Yeah, and I'd just like to thank George and also Andrew for shepherding this item through our process. I know we've been working on this for probably more than a year, and it's been a long, hard slog. So your work is much appreciated. And this, finally, we got ourselves a good project within our budget, and that's great news. Okay. Did we? Okay, so we already approved that one. Anything else on that site work issue? Okay, item 17 is our next meetings and events. The American Library Association has their midwinter meeting here locally in Chicago coming up this weekend. And then you see some other items here as well.
And I don't know whether Leah has gotten it out yet, but we do have access to free exhibit passes, so if anyone wants to take advantage of that, we'd be happy to send you into Chicago.
Is that any particular day that's good for, or is it
no,
any day?
it's a general exhibits pass.
Okay.
So I think the email, it sounds like you may have already gotten it, has, I think, the exhibit schedule either entered or attached to it, so that...
Okay, perfect. All right. And item 18, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay, moved by Schuster. Second. And second by McGuire-Popick. All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you very much.